Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to another movie review. Um, I know it's been a while since I've done one of these, but I just wanted to get my thoughts out to the world about what I felt about Avengers Age of Ultron, which I had the opportunity to see the other day. This, of course, was the sequel to the hugely popular and hugely successful Avengers movie, the first movie. And Avengers Age of Ultron was written and directed by Joss Whedon, who performed the same functions on the first movie. And they brought everybody back. The Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man, Chris Hemsworth as Thor, Chris Evans as Captain America, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, Elizabeth Olsen as, well, she's one of the new characters. Elizabeth Olsen as Scarlet Witch, and so on and so on. I don't want to go all the way down the line, but I thought overall this movie was pretty good. I wouldn't say it was great. I wouldn't say it was as good as the first Avengers movie. I also think it was a step down from Captain America: Winter Soldier. I also think it was a step down from Iron Man. I think the first Iron Man, I think it was a step down from Guardians of the Galaxy. I would even say probably the first Captain America movie. I'd put this probably in kind of the middle of the pile among the Marvel movies. Middle of the pile. I'd put it probably around like with Iron Man 3, and I would put it probably with Incredible Hulk. I'd say probably above Iron Man 2, but kind of like in the middle there. I think there were a lot of reasons why this movie did not live up to the first Avengers. First of all, you don't have Loki. Loki was awesome. Loki, of course, played by Tom Hiddleston. Here, the villain is Ultron, this artificially intelligent robot voiced by James Spader, and he's part of this peacekeeping initiative that Tony Stark puts into place to cover the world in a suit of armor. So they use artificial intelligence from Loki's scepter. They put it into this robot, becomes Ultron, and then Ultron, of course, goes haywire, and he creates more robots, and he wants to take over the world with robots. And that's really all you need to know for the plot. And I just think that the plot was not that original. I mean, I kind of felt like we had sort of seen this before in the first Avengers movie, except here it's robots, and there it was the Chitauri race of aliens. So here it was kind of like swap in robots for aliens, swap in Ultron for Loki. There's another big battle at the end, just like there was another big battle at the end of the first Avengers, except here it's in another country. In the first Avengers movie, it was in New York City. And there just was not really a lot of originality, I think, in the plot. I think in terms of the character interaction, character development, okay. The biggest development, and I don't think I'm giving away any spoilers at this point because I think enough people have seen this movie and there's enough information out there about this movie. But Scarlett Johansson's character, Black Widow, she develops a romantic relationship with Bruce Banner, the alter ego of the Hulk, played by Mark Ruffalo. And it's a little forced. It kind of comes out of nowhere. They didn't really set it up that well in the first movie, and here it's kind of shoved in there. I just felt like there were too many characters, too much going on, and some of the details of the story got lost along the way as a result of trying to cram all this stuff in. And I know that's a very big problem with many of these superhero movies, is that they try to do too much. They try to cram too much in. They try to give you too much. It's like, I don't need an all-you-can-eat buffet. Maybe simplify the menu, and it will be more delicious. I don't know if that's the right analogy, but I do think that they tried to top the first movie, and the first movie was very hard to top because it was so exceptionally well done. It was it was an instant classic. It's definitely my favorite superhero movie, and I just really felt the strain and the struggle in living up to the first movie. I could just feel it in the movie. Like I could just feel that they were really trying to emulate the first movie or even top it, and it was just very difficult for that to be done because as I said, the first movie was done so well, and yet, plus you had the novelty of seeing all of these characters come together on the screen for the first time: Thor, Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk. Like seeing all these legendary superhero characters coming together as a team. Um, you only catch lightning in the bottle once, but I know that Joss Whedon himself was somewhat burned out on this movie. I think he basically quit the franchise in the middle of making the film. He had burnout, and he's like, I don't think that he was totally satisfied in the final product. I know that Marvel made him cut out about an hour of material, and you could really see it in the theatrical cut. You can see that plot holes are left unanswered, details are glossed over, things are crammed in. There's not a consistent flow to it. It's kind of herky-jerky in terms of the editing or the narrative flow of it, and you could just feel it. You can just see that it didn't really have that smooth flow that the first film had. It just felt like there was too many different things going on, too many disparate elements, and I do think it was a result of the editing cuts that Whedon was forced to make. And he has said that he is going to be putting out a director's cut on the Blu-ray edition of the film, which is going to be coming out later in the year. So it would be really interesting to see how that measures up to what we got in the theatrical version. I would say that the best part of the film is the action sequences. The special effects, of course, are really, really well done, as you would expect from a movie like this from Marvel. And I think it is just fun to see these great actors in these great action sequences. The movie just opens with a bang where all the Avengers are raiding this fortress where Hydra is based to steal Loki's scepter to get it back. And it just opens right with a bang, and there's like a great shot of them all in like slow-mo as they attack the Hydra soldiers. And of course you have the great battle at the end where the Avengers are fighting all the robots and stuff. And again, there's a lot of fun in seeing that. Even though there's some repetition there, it's still, you get your money's worth in terms of the action. There's a great fight that Hulk and Iron Man have, because there's a part of the movie where the Hulk goes on a rampage, and Iron Man has to kind of rein him in. So he calls the Hulkbuster armor, and he gets covered in all the armor, and he has this long, drawn-out battle with Hulk. And again, it's awesome. It's really well done. It's well put together. It's exciting. It's interesting, and visually spectacular. So, the popcorn thrills are there. If you want that. The action, you will not be disappointed with the action sequences and the effects and stuff. And the story is what it is. It's not anything that imaginative or original. It's pretty much a retread of the first film, but this time it's robots instead of aliens. And the character development, character interact moments are pretty good. There's good stuff there's good stuff with Hawkeye. Hawkeye, played by Jeremy Renner, he's given a lot more to do. A lot of fans were upset in the first movie that he didn't really have much to do. He was under mind control by Loki for the majority of the film until the end. Here, he's a member of the Avengers all the way through, and they flesh out his character a little bit more. You get to see how he has a wife and a kid, and the Avengers spend time at this safe house that he's set up for himself, away from everything, off the grid. And I appreciated that. I like Hawkeye. I used to be an archer myself, and I've always been a fan of archery, the sport. So I like Hawkeye, and I think Jeremy Renner does a really good job playing him. I think he's believable, and he's got that intensity. I think that is warranted for the character. But Trying to think what else. I mean, the stuff between Black Widow and the Hulk, as I said, I think it was a little bit contrived. It was a little bit forced. But the actor Scarlett Johansson and Mark Ruffalo are decent enough actors that they do what they can with that, and they try to make something of that. Um, there's a little bit of tension there with Iron Man and Captain America, and of course that's a good lead into the next film, Captain America: Civil War, where Iron Man and Captain America face off against each other. There's kind of like a split between them in terms. Iron Man believes that superheroes need to be regulated by the government, and Captain America is all about liberty and freedom, and he feels that superhero identities should be um, preserved and they shouldn't be held accountable to the government and such. So that's going to be really interesting to see. I do think that this film does set up the Marvel Cinematic Universe future quite well. Phase 3, as they call it. This is sort of the end of Phase 2, which was sort of the middle batch of films that Marvel did. And then the next batch is going to be like, I think Ant-Man is the first one of that Phase 3, followed by Captain America: Civil War, the Guardians of the Galaxy sequel, and of course the huge two-part Avengers 3 and 4, Infinity War. It's like this gigantic movie, and I believe the Avengers are going to be meeting up with the Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's going to be, just an epic, huge monster of a movie, and it was so big that they did decide to split it into two parts, part 1 and part 2 of the same storyline, the Infinity War. And that's when Thanos is going to come into the picture, and so there's a lot of really interesting stuff ahead. And I just felt like this movie was more of laying the groundwork for what's coming. Like I felt that was sort of the obligation of this film. The obligation of this film was to wrap up Phase 2 and plant the seeds for Phase 3. So that's kind of where we're at right now. And I feel like there could have been more attention to the film itself. Like, I think it's great that Marvel is laying out this universe with all these interconnected characters and storylines and such, but you do kind of wish that at times the films were not so busy setting up future developments and future storylines and future movies and future characters, and that they were dealing with the story that they're currently telling and the film that's currently on the screen. I mean, when you're watching a movie, you're watching what's going on right now. You're watching it in the moment. You're not thinking about other stories. You're not looking 2 movies ahead or 3 movies ahead or even 1 movie ahead. You're dealing with what's on the screen in the present time. And the movie has to work on its own. Like, it cannot just be cinematic tissue for other movies. I mean, it has to be entertaining and interesting and well executed on its own and stand on its own as a movie. And this movie, I think, was shaky in that department. I mean, I think the execution of this particular movie, Avengers: Age of Ultron, could have been a little bit better. And I do think that maybe a little more attention to detail could have been paid in the execution of this particular movie, not just planting the seeds for everything else. But, like I said, I also don't feel that we got the full story. If Joss Whedon was forced to cut out a large volume of material, then that certainly is going to take away from the overall quality of the finished product. So I really would like to see what else was cut out, to see if it would have made the story more cohesive, made the overall experience of watching Avengers: Age of Ultron a little bit more enjoyable. So that's my so-so review of Avengers: Age of Ultron. I didn't hate the film. I do think there's entertainment value in it. Like I said, it's always good to see these characters, and the action is good. But I just think that it was a step down from some of the recent Marvel movies that we've seen, particularly Captain America: Winter Soldier, which I thought was outstanding, and Avengers, the first Avengers, which I thought was outstanding, and I would even say probably Guardians of the Galaxy. So that's my quick review of Avengers: Age of Ultron. My 2 cents to add to the millions of other cents that are floating out there. If you feel free, if you are going to comment, please take my comments with the grain of salt that they are intended. I certainly don't wish to upset any fanboys out there. Just giving my honest opinion, my honest reaction. I know some people take issue with things, but I do think that there is great potential ahead for the Marvel Universe, and I'm actually quite excited and interested in seeing Ant-Man. I do think that actually looks pretty unique, and I think could be visually interesting, and I like the actors in it, and I think that Phase 3 could be very, very promising, and who knows, maybe the best is yet to come. So thanks for watching, and take care. Bye-bye.